Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Today is Wednesday, September 12th, 2018, and tonight's topic, what's up with Chinese gold demand? We're going to take a look at some of the indicators of Chinese gold demand. First, let's take a look at the markets today. Gold up over $1,200 an ounce. Pretty significant rise. It spiked to midday. Not quite sure why. And silver did the same, but gold opened up at $11.94 and reached all the way up to $12.08 and is currently trading at $12.06. Silver also managed to pick itself up off the canvas from a starting of about $14.05. It also spiked up to about $14.25 and pretty much held it the rest of the day and is currently trading at $14.24. As to the cryptocurrencies, some very odd decoupling going on. All of the altcoins, including Ethereum, Litecoin, had a relatively bad day, especially earlier in the day. They were all down 7, 8, 10%. Bitcoin managed to hold its head above water, maintain that 6260 to 6300 range, and is currently trading at 6331, which is up about 1% from yesterday. And Bitcoin Cash is down about 2% over the last 24 hours, but it had been way down to close to 400. It's now at 432. Ethereum been down to about 170. It's now at 183. Litecoin had been to 47, I believe, is now at almost 52. But right now what's happening is Bitcoin is holding its own, and it's close to about a 60% dominance. I think it's about 58%, meaning of all the cryptocurrencies, it has 58% of the market cap. It's quite interesting indeed. All right, let's take a look now at the what's going on with the there we go, the gold demand in China. There's three things I like to look at when I look at gold demand in China. And one of them is what the People's Bank of China is adding. The other is how much they're importing through Hong Kong, how much gold comes in through Hong Kong into China. And then what the Shanghai Gold Exchange withdrawals are, what's the activity in the physical gold market there. First, let's take a look at the most recent announcement on China's June net gold imports. They reached a 15-month high. They jumped 40% in June from the prior month, and 80 some odd tons in June, up from 57, 58 tons in May. Now those are two big numbers. Remember, we talk about India. India has been importing 50 to 100 tons of gold, and it looks like China is not far behind him, and that's only through Hong Kong. That is what is reported. There is, I'd imagine, other gold that goes to other ports in China, particularly Shanghai, that we don't get privy to. So even with the quote official numbers coming just into Hong Kong, they are quite substantial. And they say this is the largest amount of gold going into Hong Kong and then into China since March 2017, when they imported 111 tons. And they just saw a 42% increase in June, up to 88 tons, up from 62 tons in May. So there's a lot of gold going into China. Also, another thing to keep in mind is the amount of gold that they produce. I don't really get monthly figures on that. We're going to take a look at a chart of Chinese gold production. It is the largest in the world. It's about 450 tons a year the last 3 years. And that's mainly not because China has the largest gold deposits. It's because they are exploiting the deposits that they do indeed have. Now, as to the People's Bank of China, it's really not an indicator of Chinese gold demand. That's just their central bank. And they haven't reported much, if any, really, since October 2016, and they're stuck at 1,843 tons. But I've been harping on this point is that's not China's gold. That's just what China's central bank has. And clearly the amount of gold that flows into China, the gold that's in sovereign wealth funds that we don't have numbers for, the amount of gold that's traded on the Shanghai Gold Exchange clearly indicates, and the amount of gold that they produce, that there's far more gold in China than the 1,843 tons that are listed at the People's Bank of China. And I like to defend the position that they're not lying. It's just that's not where they keep their gold. Not all the gold. See, the thing about China is technically all the gold belongs to the government because they're communist. They do allow private ownership, but they could theoretically just say, now it's ours. So the more gold that's in China, the more gold that inures to the benefit of the government if they indeed want it. And look, the United States had a non-communist government, and all the gold that was in the U.S. in 1933 ended up being the property of the United States government. So I don't put much stock into how much the People's Bank of China has. I try to look at how much gold is actually indeed in that country. So what you're looking at now is just the Shanghai Gold Exchange monthly withdrawals. These are the every month withdrawals since 2008. And you can see it took a while for the exchange to get going, but since 2013, they've had many months where 200 tons were pulled in a given month from the exchange. And you can see the most recent month was 190, which is a very strong month. I think it's, let's take a look at prior Augusts and see where we get with that. Let's see. Shanghai Gold Exchange withdrawals in August. I think it was the third highest. No, it was the second highest. You'll see it on your screen in a second. Yep, in 2018, this past August, there were 190 tons withdrawn, and the other big month was 2015 when 265 tons were withdrawn. So the point is that there is no slowdown in gold demand in China. We saw strong imports through what we can see through Hong Kong, and we're seeing strong withdrawals on the Shanghai Gold Exchange, indeed the second strongest August in their 10-year history. Really, it started in 2013 when the big numbers hit, but you could see 165 is about where you'd expect it to be. 190 is higher, and 265 in 2015 was really high. Okay, and let's see what else we got for Shanghai Gold Exchange, how it compares to last year. Let's pull up for the last 10 years where they were at by August in each year since 2008. So this year, through August, the Shanghai Gold Exchange has about 1,366 tons withdrawn. That is the third strongest period from January to August in the 10-year history. Through 2015, which ended up being a record year, they had withdrawn 1,729 tons by that time, leading to, I think, 2,596. In 2013, they were at 1,500 tons, basically 1,499 as of August. So 2018 is shaping up to be better than last year, better than the year before. Not quite on record pace of 2015, but probably the second or third strongest year for Shanghai Gold Exchange withdrawals. Now let's just take a look at a historical chart, annual withdrawals, and see where, even with just through August, where we are in 2018 with that 1,366 tons. Where does that place us versus full years 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, and 17? And we see that the big year was 2015, and that was 2,596 tons. Last year, 2,010 tons, and they'll probably beat that this year with the pace they're going. 2016, 1,970 tons. 2015, almost 2,600 tons. 2014, 2,100 tons. And 2013, almost 2,200 tons. And you could see the steady step up until 2013 when it looks like the Shanghai Gold Exchange really exploded. Now seems to have leveled off at a decent 2,000 tons at least a year since 2013. To put that into context, probably about 3,500, 38 tons of gold a year that are mined, including what's mined in China. So a significant amount of gold is traded on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. But keep in mind, a lot of people, we talk about this, but the mined gold in a given year doesn't supply the market. There's gold that's been sitting around for thousands of years. Apparently there's 180,000 tons of gold somewhere, and a lot of it. So the trading that you see, the new coins that you see being minted, The bars you see being cast, they're not necessarily coming from fresh gold. And that's one of the features of gold, is that it is fungible and that it is so durable that you could be wearing a ring and it could be gold that a Roman soldier had, or gold that the Byzantine Empire had on a wall somewhere. Who knows? That's how long gold lasts. It doesn't even tarnish. It's pretty much immutable. Let's just also take a look at, I wanted to mention the Chinese mining production. I think I've done a chart on that. We can show you what's going on with Chinese mining production. Here we go. All right, so this is a chart just showing you how they've exploited their gold reserves. And I think they're going to not run out, but I don't think they're going to get past the production that they have now. And that's why they're working on deals to have gold mining in Africa where they own the mines, or they do joint ventures with Russia for Russian mines. But they've pretty much, I think they've reached their limit, it looks like. You can see on the chart here, last year they were below the 450. It looks like they peaked at 450 tons a year, 2014, 15, 16. And this is all based on USGS reporting and also on what China says they have in terms of reserves. They're not showing that they have massive reserves. It just looks like they're doing a very good job of exploiting the reserves that they do have, and then they're looking elsewhere to get their gold. All right, well, that's all I wanted to mention tonight. Tomorrow we'll do Chinese silver. Let's take a look at the comments that we have. All right, let's see. Carl Joseph DeMarco, only 43 days till Halloween. Well, there you go. Single cell organism. Yeah, gold and silver caught a bid today on the dollar move. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you look at the chart, you could see when the dollar fell, then the gold and silver went up. But what's interesting, they got capped. They went up, and then they just went straight across. They didn't seem to catch a bigger bid. And it all happened in like 5 minutes. They both spiked up, gold and silver, and then they held their gains. Guessing it'll plunge from here if history is any guide. Roger Henry Lewis been meaning to ask where's your video theme tune came from. Mark Battaglia made that himself. That is his original music and original contribution to Smaulgld. In fact, that is his second contribution in music to Smaulgld. You might not remember, there used to be another, it didn't say Smaulgld at the end of it, but there was a kind of in the style of Stevie Ray Vaughan music that he had done. Very talented individual, does music production. Mark Battaglia, thank you. Now, Carl Joseph DeMarco, now on Shanghai Exchange, you can't take delivery. The gold never leaves China. Well, you could take delivery in a sense, but you can't leave the country with it. So it seems like the big players don't really care if they ever get delivery. So would retail investors expect that to change? That I don't know. Voraza, yes, Shanghai Composite and bear market now 26% down. It's been down for months now, and it hasn't really shown many signs of moving up. Art Divis, this is probably a stupid question. Could you explain to somebody who grew up on paper money why a country like China would buy so much gold in simple terms? China started paper money. That's a historic fact that they created the first paper money, and it was through pain of death if you didn't use the emperor's money, whatever period of time that was. China buys a lot of gold because it can, not because it's in love with sound money. Far from it. China has $40 trillion, I believe, in debt. They are a massive debt Ponzi scheme. But they also realize that if you're going to have debt, you should also have something of value. So historically, people, not just Chinese, Indians, every peoples has had an interest in gold and in owning something tangible. But I think people have the misconception that somehow China is some type of sound money paradise because they seem to like gold. They are not. Their entire economy runs on creating more debt, and that's the problem they're having right now with the tariffs. It's slowing their economy down. They wanted to deleverage, and they realize now they can't, because if they deleverage, their economy will shut down. So they are in a process of relaxing credit, issuing more credit. The PBOC instructs their state-owned banks to issue more credit to state-owned enterprises, to loan them money to build stuff that maybe they need or maybe they don't, maybe would be profitable, maybe wouldn't be. And if there's projects that aren't profitable and the banks aren't getting paid back, PBOC tells the state-owned banks to tell the state-owned enterprises, don't worry about it, we'll extend the loan, we'll convert them to equity, or we'll issue you more credit. So China is not only running a lot of credit from the state-owned perspective, but now that fever has hit. The Chinese used to be a large savers, same with the Italians, Japanese. I think they led the world in the savings rate. Now they're on the credit card. So they also like gold, but I don't think it's for any sound money reason. I think it's just because it's shiny, it's expensive. And when you get a lot of money, you can buy gold. Government intervening by individual company stock. Yeah, and there's still the prices going down. They're going to have to start, I think they were saying, executing short sellers. Thanks and good night. Curious about silver tomorrow. Well, we'll see. I mean, the price right now isn't really lighting anyone on fire. Let me check again. No, price of silver is $14.25. Miser. Platinum might be leading the metals rebounding. Oh, it's at $800. Well, platinum and palladium have done better. And let's just check the last 30 days. 30 days ago, platinum was about $797, and right now it's about $800. Big rise today, though. Platinum went from $785 to $800, but palladium, the last 30 days, has risen from about $842 up to about $974. So palladium seems like the metal that you can't keep down. In fact, the U.S. Mint is now issuing a palladium coin for the first time. They've got a platinum coin that they issue, and now they're issuing a palladium coin. I would think it's pretty expensive, but I think they're only going to make like 30,000 of them. I think it looks like a mercury dime if I saw it correctly. So it'll be like a 1 ounce palladium coin. Probably cost $1,000 or so, maybe more. Whereas I have a 1 ounce palladium coin, not many places to sell it at. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing you got to consider. You say, oh, it's gone up. Good luck trying to find somebody who wants a palladium coin. It's a maple leaf, she says. Yeah, it looks like a sable maple leaf almost. I don't think that palladium, they say that palladium and platinum are very closely related, but I know that platinum is very heavy. It's denser than even gold. It's one of the densest metals around. I don't think palladium is, and I'm not quite sure. I know why they used to use palladium instead of platinum in catalytic converters, because palladium was cheaper than platinum. But now that palladium is more expensive than platinum, I don't get what's going on there. I've never understood the mechanisms of that market, the platinum palladium market. It's probably because they're so small, they're distorted. Roger Henley, I wonder if QAnon is telling people to back up their trucks and load up on silver. I've never bought into the QAnon stuff. I've looked at bits and pieces. I believe that somebody who's half paying attention can create a narrative. Sounds like what he says. I know it's a guy, I think his name is Jack Posobiec. He thinks it's 100% nonsense and that he has proof that the guy doesn't exist, or that he does exist, but they were just kidding around. You know how I think. You've listened to this show every night. I like to see real evidence of anything, not just something that sounds plausible and then you're in a position where you have to prove it's not true. Because I had today, if you just look at the comments under my JP Morgan is not your silver buddy, so many people telling me that I can't prove that they don't have the silver. I mean, that isn't logic at all. I mean, once you're in that fantasy land where you can just throw out any proposition that you think sounds plausible, and then you shift the burden to somebody to prove that it's not true. That's not logic. That's fantasy land. But a lot of people, once you start to believe in something like gold or silver, and somebody tells you a silver story that sounds good to you and you want to believe it, the burden now shifts to the person who doesn't want to believe it. It's not that I don't want to believe it. I don't think it's plausible. But even if it was plausible, I still would want to see some evidence that JP Morgan has the silver. Just as I'd want to see evidence that whatever QAnon says is happening, I'd want to see, well, I mean, I can make up stories that sound correct like QAnon does. I can tell you that this might happen and that might happen, because you could put together pieces of data and then you can add wishful thinking to it, and could sound, and that's why he has a following, because people want to believe that there's some type of plan and they swear by it. They'll tell you, if It's almost like you're criticizing a religion. You don't want to throw out the cliche that it's a cult, but when people start to believe things that they don't have proof of, more because they want to believe it, and then I get the thing as, well, you don't know anything because you're not X person, and X person is some type of expert. Now you're in idolatry again. And that's the same reason you believe if somebody who's supposedly an expert told you 2 + 2 is 3, and I told you it was 4, and you say, well, I'd rather believe the person who says it's 3 because they're an expert. then you've given up independent thought, and you're just following somebody because you think they're an expert. I hear people say, if I have to trust this person or you, well, I'm going to trust that person. It's like, no, don't trust the person. Trust what the person has put in front of you. What analysis does the person have to prove their case? Don't tell me I have to disprove somebody's case who hasn't proven their case. Otherwise, you're going to say it's true. Oh, well, let's see. Will I be handing out mugs or erasers to trick-or-treaters this year? I hadn't thought about it. Probably not. I have not gotten many trick-or-treaters many years. And generally, when we take our own kids out, we just leave the basket out and people come and take what they want. I guess I could put a few erasers out. Rhodium has performed best over the past few years, says Kuggy. Yep, 600 to 2200. It had another spike like 10 years ago. Same thing. Went up really high and then came right back down. Remember the same JP Morgan silver manager from 2015. Yeah, all these, there's always a pump of the month, pump of the year, whatever. There's always something to keep you interested in silver or gold. Remember gold, game changer, gold back you on. Or sovereign size gold buy in 45 days will shock the world. There's always some story. JP Morgan has all this silver and they're going to let silver ride. And COMEX default imminent. That one must have been imminent 10 years going and it never happened. So I don't put much stock in those stories unless you can point to something. And generally what you point to, I mean, what does you have? Magic wand? All right. I agree. QAnon is dream fairy being pumped by fear porn because now the reason they're plausible is they do take real facts that exist and then you take some liberties with where you think things might be headed, and it sounds reasonable. So you say, well, you can't prove it's not true. No, but I know I can make up narratives too. And I would never be as presumptuous to say, but you can't disprove my narrative. It's up to me to prove that it exists. And the only reason people believe these narratives is their people are being played off of their emotions. They want to believe there's QAnon. Just like when you're a kid, you want to believe there's Santa Claus. You want to believe JP Morgan is acting. In a way, the story is like they're acting in your interest. They've accumulated all this silver, no proof that they have, however much they have, and now they're just going to let it fly. Why? If JP Morgan is supposed to be this evil banker that's working on behalf of the government to suppress the price of silver, why are they all of a sudden going to let it fly? I'd be more inclined to believe, even without evidence, that, yeah, okay, they have 1 billion ounces of silver. And the reason I'd say they have the 1 billion ounces of silver isn't to let it fly, is to throw it at the market if they ever have to, in the event that there's some type of silver shortage and they want to keep the price down. All right. And Dave Jan, SG Report. Well, the other thing is, again, if you want to believe something, and there's a reason why channels that play into almost it's interesting to hear someone speculate and tell you why Bitcoin's going to be 20,000, silver's going to be 1-to-1 ratio, gold, because you want to believe there's something out there that you don't know about, and that somebody who might know something is going to tell you to make you feel good or to get you excited about the future. You don't want to hear someone like me tell you, nah, that's probably not true. Nah, no, don't think so. Nah, you know what? I don't have enough of it, and I'm not going to believe that stuff. No, people want to get emotionally attached and excited about a particular idea. They don't want to hear that. Nope, not that one. No, not that one either. Nah, I don't think so. Because that's basically what I do. I mean, I give you a lot of analysis, but I generally tone it down. It's not even curb your enthusiasm, because that's funny. This is basically telling you I look at stuff and mostly what I see is, so what? But dollar collapse, the reset, gold 50,000, JP Morgan, Comex default, QAnon, the plan. That's what people want to hear. But I don't mind that. That's entertainment. But it's funny, the people that believe that stuff, they criticize the mainstream media for making up false narratives. And then they tell you, you'll see, you'll see. And if you had to look at the records of these stories, none of them have panned out. I don't even know one game changer story that's panned out. Donald Trump drinks his coffee from a Smaulgld mug. How far is that for a theory? Well, I can make that up, and you couldn't prove he doesn't. I go around and say all day, every day, Donald Trump drinks from Smaulgld mugs, and therefore you should buy one. All right. Carl Joseph tomorrow. We used to make up this stuff and tell this guy we knew because he'd believe anything. Then we'd bust him going around telling other people as if on authority. That's really what we have in many cases. I mean, you have an element of fact or cherry pick fact, and then there's plausible or seemingly plausible conclusions that you can draw from those facts. But if you had other facts, you might realize that you could never get there. But they never tell you all the facts. No end to what people and how confidently they spread the word, says Carl Joseph DeMarco. That's right. And a good storyteller will go a long way. Careful. The Q fans go totally ape if you don't agree, period. No, I know that. And I actually, I've never attacked the Q in that narrative. This is the first time I've ever mentioned it. I don't talk about Q because I don't know anything about it. I have not looked into it in any way, shape, or form. But I know that people believe it and they're passionate about it. And it's going to change the world. And you'll see. And 50,000 sealed indictments. Based on what? I don't. And again, I cannot do a full, and I'm not even going to bother. I'm not interested in investigating something that hasn't already been close to proven, and then try to unprove it. There's no reason to do it. If people want to believe it, they can believe it. And in fact, I actually believe some of the stuff that Q is supposedly saying, I do believe will work out. I do believe that a lot of evidence will come out. I wrote something on this 6 months ago that the evidence about the Russian investigation, Hillary Clinton campaign will eventually all come out. Not because of Q and not because of some plan, just because I think that's going to be the natural progression. I mean, I could have made it up and said I had secret knowledge and I'm working for the government and I'm an NSA. Anyway. All right. Veraz, I listened to Bo Pony Bible. Yeah. Well, that was the whole Shemitah thing. Remember that one? Then it was this year. No, next year. Cougar, you rock because you speak common sense. Well, thank you. But, you know, most people, I tell you, they don't want to hear it. Because it's somewhat of a downer to hear, yeah, you're not going to, the price of silver isn't going to go to $30 this year. It's just not going to happen. No, there's not going to be gold 50,000. No. Yeah, there's a lot of uses for silver, but how much is it? How much do they really need to use it for? Yeah, Russia bought some gold, but most of it's from their mining production, and it's not a big deal. I think that's the problem, is I give you the facts, and then I tell you what I get from the facts, and it doesn't lead you to some game-changing conclusion. People want to believe in something. They want, I think that's what religion is for, not gold and silver, and not Bitcoin and whatever. Martin Armstrong is a good argument. Government collapse based on his modeling, which is quite good. He's a sober guy. Yeah, I mean, look, all governments eventually collapse. And if he's modeled it out, and it will. But I think everybody's trying to make a name for themselves, you know, calling it next week or last week, or hope he's right. Seriously, though, I need silver. I thought you went to bed. Just, he says, Varaz, just to get to 18 or 20 in my lifetime again, I'm happy. Yeah, most people would be. Roger Henley, QAnon, Flat Earth, chemtrails, jet fuel hoax, free energy, red pill, truth or cults go hand in hand with PM pumping and end of the world narrative. Yeah, and I guess I pump mugs, but that's a mockery. In fact, you know, a lot of people who listen to this channel have joined after I became a mug pumper, the Smaulgld mugs. And I think, and one time I did a mockery. I said that gold was going to go to like $26,322.42, and I gave a reason. And I spoke in this moronic tone, and you'll see that it's because the elite think this and that, and I gave all these ridiculous reasons. Half the people thought I was serious. And it was so obviously fake, but you know, I think with the mugs, I don't think anyone actually thinks that I am believing this, but you never know. I was going to play you the mugs, but I believe it's interesting. Right now, I'm going through my channel, and when you're doing a live stream, they it's so funny. They show what's playing right now. They remove it from the featured one. I'm gonna have a hard time finding the Smaulgld mug, but I really would like to play it to close out the show. For those of you who have not heard the Smaulgld mug, it's up to 18 reasons. There you go. 10 reasons to buy, 15. I'll be able to find it. 15 reasons, 18 reasons to buy and hoard mugs. Ten reasons why you should buy a Smaulgld mug. Reasons to buy and hoard mugs. Number 1. Mugs have been used for drinking for more than 5,000 years. Number 2. They are finding more uses for mugs every day. Number 3. We could not live our lives without mugs. Number 4. The Russians and Chinese are buying mugs hand over fist. Number 5. Mugs are made in China. Number 6. Mugs are hard assets. Number 7. Mugs are real wealth. Number 8. Mugs cannot go to zero. Number 9. Mugs are portable. Number 10. Mugs are drinking vessels, period. Wait, there is more. You can mix Mountain House in a mug. You can carry your barter silver in a mug. You can do many things with mugs that you cannot do with fiat currencies. Measure your wealth in mugs. They have mugs at the offices of JP Morgan and central banks. That is all you need to know. When the excrement hits the fan, you'll want to have your Smaulgld mug close by. Buy your Smaulgld mugs today. Reasons to buy and hoard mugs. Number 11. You can stack mugs. As you can see here, mugs are stackable. Add to your mug stack today. Buy a Smaulgld mug. Reasons to buy and hoard mugs. Number 12. You can put coffee in a mug. As you can see here, someone very clever has done so. Buy a Smaulgld mug today. Reasons to buy and hoard mugs. Number 13. You can put cognac in a mug. As you can see here, someone is thinking of putting cognac in a mug. Buy a Smaulgld mug today. Reasons to buy and hoard mugs. Number 14. You can display a mug on a studio soundboard. As you can see here, someone has displayed a mug on a studio soundboard. This highlights how versatile mugs can be. Mugs can be put in countless places, and we intend to show you as many of those places as possible. Buy a Smaulgld mug today. Reasons to buy and hoard mugs. Number 15. Mugs do not require electricity. As Smaulgld subscriber Wild Bill points out, mugs will still be usable after an EMP. Mugs do not require electricity. Here is a picture of a Smaulgld mug and another Smaulgld mug. They will look the same before and after an EMP and never require electricity. Buy a Smaulgld mug today. Reasons to buy and hoard mugs. Number 16. Mugs are undervalued. The price of mugs is about the same price as it was 10 years ago. This means that mugs are one of the most undervalued assets on the planet. Buy a Smaulgld mug today. Reasons to buy and hoard mugs. Number 17. You can hold your keys in a mug. Keys are very important. You can hold your keys in a mug. As you can see here, someone has put their keys in a mug. Buy a Smaulgld mug. Reasons to buy and hold mugs. Number 18. You can defend yourself with a mug. Mugs make great defensive weapons. In many states, you can open carry mugs. In all states, you can conceal carry mugs. Protect yourself with a mug. Buy a Smaulgld mug today. Well, that's it for the reasons to buy and hoard mugs. And I got one last question here. Thanks, Lewis. Do you think that the banks are trying to drive the miners out of business. Now, I did an interview with Jason at Wall Street from Main Street, and I proposed that exact concept probably for the first time. Oh, let's take a look when I did that. Let's see. I gotta find it here. When I was on Wall Street from Main Street. Let's view the full playlist. I'll give you the list of that. Yeah, it was called, there you go. I'm gonna bring it up here. It's part of the playlist. Oops. It was called Gold Silver Miners Increasing Production Until Bankruptcy. And that was in January 2016. And yep, I proffered the idea that what might happen is that the banks might eventually own the mining, which would not be a good thing. Then they can manipulate even better by manipulating the mining supply. How about that? All right. Single cell organism. I love mug hoarding reasons. I've got more. I just haven't added them. Forcing my wife to listen to this. Defense. Okay. She needs a mug in case I die. Yes. Yes. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much indeed for tuning in tonight. Tomorrow we'll do silver. Some updates on what's happening with silver in China. I mean, the big areas for physical demand for gold and silver clearly in Asia, and China and India are by far the two biggest places to look. Also, the U.S. Mint, I checked, did not start selling Silver Eagles again yet, or at least they didn't sell any to authorized purchasers today, and it doesn't look like they reported any gold sales either. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Buy a Smaulgld mug.